This video module demonstrates the fault isolation and functional test procedures that can be performed using the Antiskid Autobrake control unit. The Antiskid Autobrake control unit is located on the E1-1 rack in the main equipment center. The unit is line replaceable and is not electrostatic sensitive. The faceplate of the control unit contains an instruction placard, an LED readout window, a rotary selector, and test switches. Warning: test, apply, and release brakes. Verify that the area around the brakes is clear and the wheels are chocked. Circuit breakers located on the P11 panel power the Antiskid Autobrake control unit. The controls and fault indications for the Antiskid and Autobrake are in the flight deck. The Autobrake selector switch is used to select the landing deceleration rate or refuse takeoff braking, and has an amber fault light showing the disarm condition. The Antiskid amber light on the P5 panel indicates a fault within the Antiskid system. ICAS messages provide levels of fault detection within the two systems. The fault isolation manual outlines the procedure used in operating the Antiskid Autobrake control unit for troubleshooting. Faults are recalled from the non-volatile memory by using the bit switch. Prior to interrogation of the bit memory, perform the display test. Place the test bit switch in the test position and check the following indications. All 8 LED segments display. In the flight compartment, verify that the Antiskid and Autobrake lights are lit. On ICAS, the following messages appear. When the Antiskid Autobrake system is powered, the byte card in the control unit in the main equipment center conducts continuous fault monitoring. Monitoring identifies faulted LRUs in the non-volatile memory. If an anti-skid fault is reported by the flight crew, the anti-skid light is lit and messages appear on ICAS. The fault isolation manual requires a lamp test first, then the following test. Place the test switch to the bit position and then release it to recall the fault. Note that the first failure is displayed. Subsequent pressing of the bit switch displays any remaining faults until test end is displayed, indicating no remaining faults. Faults are recalled on a first in, first out basis. The display can be cleared by placing the test switch in the test position. The display is automatically turned off after 45 seconds. Refer to Table 101 in the Fault Isolation Manual for corrective action regarding any of the fault codes which are displayed. After correcting the fault, press the reset button on the control unit to clear the fault stored in memory. Note that the unit display reads memory clear for about 5 seconds. In addition to the fault identification procedures using the unit memory, additional troubleshooting as well as several operational checks may also be conducted with the unit byte panel using the Enable Verify, Verify, and Brake Select switches. The following operational checks are described: Anti-skid Autobrake control test, normal anti-skid brake test, alternate anti-skid brake test, Autobrake application test. Prior to beginning the tests, The aircraft should be properly configured per the maintenance manual. Chock wheels. Release the parking brake. Pressurize center and right hydraulic systems. IRS in nav mode. Thrust levers in idle position. And the spoilers stowed. The control test provides a complete electrical check of the anti-skid auto-brake system by checking all inputs to the control unit in addition to checking the control unit cards. In the flight compartment, place the auto-brake selector switch to position 1. With the rotary brake test switch on the control unit at normal, press and hold the Enable Verify switch. Then press the Verify switch and release both. The display will flash Wait as each wheel card is tested. The fault indication should be displayed. Continue to press and release the Verify switch until Test End is displayed. Refer to Table 101 of the Fault Isolation Manual for corrective action. If a failed LRU is stored in memory, the associated anti-skid auto-brake maintenance message appears on ICAS until the reset switch on the control unit in the main equipment center is pressed. Corrective action on faults not stored in memory clears the anti-skid auto-brake message without activation of the reset switch. The normal anti-skid brake test verifies the normal anti-skid valve function by releasing and applying brakes. Brake pressure must be applied using the right hydraulic system and held for the duration of the test. Either hold the brake pedals or open the parking brake valve circuit breaker on the P6 panel and set the parking brakes. Place the selector switch on the control unit to the Brake Test 1 position. Press the Enable Verify and Verify switches, then release. Check that brake number 1 releases and reapplies. Watch the brake wear indicator movement, or install a pressure gauge on the brake bleed port and observe the pressure change. If installed, the brake pressure gauge reads not more than 100 psi when the brake is released and 2900 plus or minus 200 psi when the brake is applied. Note that this test detects crossed lines in the anti-skid system. The alternate anti-skid valves are checked in a similar manner. Depressurize the right hydraulic system, then pressurize the center hydraulic system and place the rotary selector to the Brake Test 1 position. Activate the test switches and observe the message in the display window. The selected lateral pair of brakes release and reapply. In this case, brakes number 1 and number 2. The Autobrake application test provides a check of the Autobrake module function. This test causes the module to apply and release brake pressure. To perform the test, ensure that the wheels are chocked, the brakes are released, both thrust levers are at idle, the IRUs are aligned, spoilers are stowed, a pressure gauge is installed on one brake on each side of the airplane, and that the right hydraulic system is pressurized. Arm the Autobrake by selecting position 1 on the switch on the Autobrake panel. On the control module, position the rotary switch to the AB position. Push the Enable Verify switch and hold. push the Verify switch and release both Enable Verify and Verify switches. Selected Autobrake setting, Brake AB1 is displayed. The control unit causes brake pressure to be applied for 10 seconds. The pressure returns to approximately 300 psi for 5 seconds, then reduces to less than 100 psi. And the Autobrakes disarm. At a given setting, pressure applied to the brakes should be setting 1, 1500 psi, 2, 1750, 3, 2000, 4, 2400, max auto 3000, optional RTO 3000. A flight dispatch plug is inserted in the shuttle valve module to block the faulted valve output and hydraulically disable the brake. The fault indication may be deactivated for one wheel by placing the switch in a disabled position. This removes the selected wheel from the fault annunciation circuitry to the amber anti-skid light and the ICAST display. Faults occurring on other wheels continue to be displayed when the switch is in a disabled position. And the anti-skid Autobrake message appears on the ICAST maintenance page. In summary, the anti-skid Autobrake control unit provides fault storage to permit fault identification. This is a non-volatile memory which stores faults identified by a continuous monitor byte system. The control unit also allows the operator to run tests to determine the anti-skid and Autobrake operational condition. The anti-skid Autobrake control test provides a complete electrical check of the anti-skid and Autobrake systems. The normal and alternate anti-skid brake tests provide an operational check of the normal and alternate anti-skid valve functions. This test causes the valves to release brake pressure and reapply. The Autobrake application test provides an operational check of the Autobrake module function. This test causes the module to apply brake pressure to the level selected, releases the brake pressure, and disarms the Autobrakes. This video module has demonstrated the fault isolation and functional test procedures which can be performed using the anti-skid Autobrake control unit, including test functions for fault identification and operational checks.